What's going on, guys? Still here, and we're gonna take a quick look at the dev server. Just gonna kind of go through what's on the first dev server for 1.101. There's not much. A lot of things are bugged. So we're just quickly gonna glance through tanks and airplanes. Might do naval separately. There's a few little things, but it's not too big of a deal. First things first. I acquired the T-72B3. And I have it upgraded, not fully obviously, but I have it upgraded with the 2016 upgrade package, which is UBH, increased protection, and a different engine. Armor wise, it's very similar to the original T-72 1989 that they are also adding, folded with the T-72 Bravo. Now, armor-wise, this is pretty much the same as on the standard T-72B3. You get some Contact 5 in the front, some Contact 5 on the sides, and then on the turret cheeks. Overall, I haven't really gotten too into it because it is a dev server and values might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the T-72B3 has some better internal armor than the 1989 T-72. Also, amongst other things like thermal, which the 1989 does not get, which is why it is 9.7 with Contact 5. And the M1 Abrams is still 10.0 for some reason without M833, and only the IPM1 got it, and it's kind of subpar to what it was supposed to be. But either way, I'm not going to get into that. So, the T-72B3 and the B, the 1989, both get 3BM22 and 3BM42 in their shells again. No new round for them. Now, a friend of mine was curious if the T-72B3 got an upgraded ATGM, and I do believe, yes, it does. The 9M119M1, 850 millimeters of penetration. It's not tandem, but I believe this is the reflex or reflex, whatever it is, ATGM. I don't know. Someone will have to tell me. I have no idea. Oddly enough, it's not tandem, and it's just a different version of the original one. But anyways, so this is the 2016 upgrade package that you're looking at. I'll uninstall it to look at the normal T-72. As you could tell, it is literally the 1989 basically, with obviously the fact that this has thermal. Now, I might just be crazy, but if you don't have the 2016 upgrade package, I'm pretty sure it comes with Gen 2 thermal, and then when you put the package on, it has Gen 3 thermal, but I might have just been kind of paused in between and I didn't really truly notice, but obviously it's still like the same stuff on it. I don't notice too much of a difference. That all looks the same-ish. Yeah. And then you get like an extra weird like contact panel here. So oddly enough, it's not up on top. That's kind of weird. Probably because of the sight there. But armor-wise, the front is basically the same, except I believe there is a new plate there. Like I said, I'm not going to go too in-depth into the armor. And I'm also not going to look at all those different kinds because they've got like armor radiation material, like all this crazy shit they put in this. Although it does look a little different, but that might just be me. Either way, so it's got Contact 5 in the front, Contact 5 on the turret front as well. It comes with slat armor in the back to protect against chemical in the engine area, 50 millimeters ish. This one, see, it's not labeled up here. And then it comes with Relic ERA, which is the generation after Contact 5. And then after this, on the T-14 Armada, there would be Malik. It's either Malik or Malakit. I don't remember. So, as you can tell, since it's easy to compare, we've got the Contact 5 on the front with 120 millimeters of kinetic protection, and then the Relic on the side with 150 millimeters of kinetic protection. 400 for Contact 5 with chemical, and 600 for Relic with chemical protection. They're in these nice little bags, which all look slightly different. Like they're slightly different arranged. It's really nice, really detailed, really realistic. Penetration-wise, it is Contact 5, and it can stop CL-3143 from penning at very, very extreme angles, which you can do. Obviously, you can see I can do it right here, the driver's hatch. You know, but if for some reason you're in that scenario where he can just poke his gun out and all you see is the Relic on the side, you might not be able to penetrate it. Obviously, you can kind of shoot really low and hope that you get a good penetration, but you're only probably going to clip a shell like that. So it's not going to be that easy, but you never know. Against chemical, it's a no fucking brainer. They nerfed heat a long time ago, as we all remember. They nerfed it, and then obviously with the new change, it's just a bit crazy. And also they've added volumetric shells, which means that you can't just like squeeze through it now. You can't do anything like that. So overall, except obviously right there where the exhaust is, that's also the other thing too, because they added volumetric ammo. Slat armor will kind of work. I mean, they may have only added it to APHE because it doesn't seem to be working against heat, but this is DM12, which is 480. So it's not too insane. But if we try something like 105 heat on the M1, that's heat. It might not work as well. But it can also, it's a little smaller, so it might squeeze through. So yeah, it's still kind of going to. But that slat armor, if you do hit it, will definitely help soak up some damage. You'll still lose your engine, obviously. And in the back of the turret as well. It's kind of 50-50. As you can see, it's like slightly like edged right there. But it can still, yeah, it can still go through. But obviously in a real match, when you're not this steady and this over, analyzing of it, it won't work. I believe, is this just, yeah, more relict ERA on the sides here. So overall, this is probably one of the most survivable Soviet MBTs, if not the most survivable MBT, Soviet MBT. And it also, unlike the T-80U, which comes with Gen 1 thermal, this comes with Gen 2, Gen 3. I don't actually know, but to the resolution, and it's different for people with different computer resolutions as well. People forget that. If you have a smaller screen, I have 1920 by 1080, so to me it appears like it's probably Gen 3. But to other people, they might think it's Gen 2 if they have a bigger screen or, stuff like that. So when it comes to the T72B3, which is 10.7, and obviously the dev server screws up my presets, but I would have the T72B3 be over here where my T72A is on the live server amongst, T64B, T80B, T80U, stuff like that. So Russia now has the most MBTs in the game, if that wasn't already apparent beforehand. They have the most top tier MBTs because even the T72 Bravos, the first one in the 1989, are actually kind of viable at top tier. Sadly, it is kind of insane that they can be useful even without ERA, or not ERA, sorry, thermal. The T80B is now, in my opinion, less effectively armored, although in the patch notes, when you log on, they do say they changed the T80B and T64B and T72A armor around, and I think it was a slight nerf. They show you the actual effective protection. So, yeah, the T80B is now a weaker armored T72B. I mean, the T80s already kind of were, even in real life they already were, but like, although you do get thermal on the T80B versus the T72Bs, armor-wise, if you want to take a shot, you might as well go with the T-72s, because even in night battles, the IR lamp will do you just fine, considering that most of NATO are going to be using thermals, and they won't even see it, because a lot of people like to turn off their night vision in third person. So, on top of the T-72s, pretty much, that is like the most major ground vehicle I'm going to be looking at. Germany, as we all know, from the devs, from their sneak peek stream, got the TAM-2C with laser warning systems. Currently, we tried testing that. It does not work. All of the MBTs don't have it, with the exception of the Arietis. They have it in the modifications. I even got it. I got it for the Centauro. The Swedish don't have it. The CV9120 doesn't have it, even though I swear the sensors that you can see all around it are like APS or laser warning of some kind. So, yeah, that kind of puts a dampener on things. The BMP3 does not get laser warning either. I thought it might have, but it's not a BMP3M, and I think the BMP3M actually got it. I'm not sure. So, yeah. And I also don't believe the ZTZ got it as well. Yeah, no. So, if it doesn't work on top of other things we'll get to. So, yeah, it doesn't work right now. I wish it did. I've been told that they're not probably going to update this dev server at all. So, if there's a second dev server, hopefully all this stuff works. Now the next thing we're going to look at real quick is the Strv 104, which is basically a shot call for Sweden. Apparently it doesn't have a stabilizer from the dev stream, and I still don't think it does because they did not fix their issue with radar missiles, which we'll get to in a minute. Oh, it says stab. Okay, no, they added the stabilizer for it. Also, they've changed their sounds again, and all coaxes on the dev server are bugged for some reason, except the Ariete, oddly enough. So yeah, new sounds, new tanks, new mechanics. It's amazing. So yeah, another tank to grind Sweden with. Sadly, the STRV 103C is still a little goofy in its hull traverse, so using this tank and bringing that up to 8.7, which is already insane considering this tank used to be 8.7, is a bit of a stretch. Sweden still doesn't really have a good lineup to grind with at top tier. You have to kind of use 7.7, grind out multiple rank 6s before you can effectively start using these to research rank 7. France did not get anything new except the Somua SM, which is battle rating 7.3. This looks very much like a Panther because it was very much inspired by a Panther. However, it's not exactly the same. I mean, it might be, but it looks higher off the ground, probably with French suspension. 90 millimeters of armor, sloped. 120. Yeah, I mean, at 7.3, this isn't going to really stop much. It's got the 100 millimeter. It's got the Lorraine's 4-second reload versus the AMX M4s. No, sorry, the AMX 50s. Oh, wait, no, never mind. I thought the AMX 50 used to have a 6-second reload flat as the on-auto loader, but I guess not. So, yeah, that's about it for France, this update. There is rumor that there are 2 Jaguars in the game files. They're not in yet for the aircraft, but we'll get to that in a second. I think that was... Actually, no, maybe that might have been all for tanks. I think. Oh, no. There's the Japanese howitzer, which is 1.7 for a reason. It can't really kill things, even though it's got 50 millimeters of pen. But at 1.7, even into a 2.7, it's a derp gun. Please don't use it at top tier. If you kill somebody, okay, funny, haha, but most of the time, you're just going to get MG'd or heshed or heated because everyone uses chemical rounds at top tier, so expect to get hull broken or lose your crew in 2 seconds. Please don't bring this thing up to top tier. I don't want to deal with it. It's really dumb. So I think that was it for tanks. Yeah, there's really much nothing else. Mechanics wise, everything is fucking broken, so don't expect much out of this. So going on to aviation, everybody's got some new shit. America got a Razorback P-47, and I think the Razorback P-47s look cool in their own right. Britain also got a Razorback P-47, which is premium. Yes. Thunderbolt Mark 1. Nice camo. It's about the same as a normal P-47D when it comes to loadouts. They also got the YP-38, wherever that is, which there it is, 3.0. A nice cheap P-38 prototype. Don't know how it'll fare, but looks nice. Another thing that was added is mines for naval. They were added to some ships. I don't know what ships they were added to, except for like the BMO, which they showed on the stream. For some reason, the PBJ group is bugged. They might be looking into giving those naval mines because some planes for America have got aerial mines. PV-2D comes to mind. I think this carries the most so far in the American tech tree at 6. So 2 on the wings and then 4 in the bomb bay. The B2D carries 2 of them. They're called Mark 13 Mod Zeros. So they're almost like torpedoes for some reason, and they're very similar in the nomenclature. So don't get them confused. But they're air bombs, and they do work in ground battles. They fly not so aerodynamically because they are mines, but they will work. So let's see. They gave them to the SB2C. As you can see, you can carry 1 there. I think the Hellcat... No, the Hellcat did not get them. The PB4Y Privateer is supposed to be able to carry 8 1000s pound versions of them, or 4 2000 pounds, much like the normal bombs, because they're just a mine version basically. But it does not carry them yet. The Catalinas carry them as well. I don't believe the OS2s, yeah, they don't get any sort of depth charge or anything. But the Catalinas can carry 2, I believe. No, 4. They carry 4. So, have fun in naval battles. They are kind of weird, and there is a weird bombs bomb series, which is probably a new thing that they're going to add. So, as you can see, I can set it to, they'll be dropped in the pair, or probably what'll be like you can just drop a net full of them, which is why I think the Privateer would be cool, because I would get the Privateer and I would use it in my lineup and I would drop them in a naval battle and hope people sail across and run into them. They also act like bombs currently too, I believe. There was no like real timer or something, but I'm not going to mess with it. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else for props other than that SU6 premium they added, which is 4.7 at rank 4. They really like putting planes in weird ranks depending on their battle ratings. Like the T-14, the American tank, is rank 2, but at a battle rating of 4.3. I don't know. Weird. But anyways, back to aircraft. So they have added beyond visual range radar missiles, as everyone who has watched the stream saw, and everyone probably knows. However, Sparrows do not work. Gaijin misplaced a decimal point, and of course they released the dev server meant to test things, because they say it's for testing, for us players to test. And of course, they put the decimal in the wrong place. So the launch range is 0.01 miles, or whatever it is in kilometers, whatever. Basically, it won't launch. Some people have reported they've gotten it to fire. I haven't. And either way, when people have gotten it to fire, it's not really tracking anything. It's just kind of shoulder firing, thinking it's locking something. It's very weird. I don't know what they did. But they must have just missed a decimal point or something. I don't know. They're not going to fix it. Like I said, they're not going to update this dev server. They're going to have a second one. So that's kind of sad, but you can glimpse at them. Now, another thing that I ran into that hopefully Gaijin addresses before the server goes live, because this is extremely important for things especially like the Phantom, which carries so many missiles. Currently, Gaijin did not add something into the dev server which allows you to select what kind of missile you are going to want to fire. You have to fire the missiles in a certain order. On the Phantom, you have to fire the Sparrows before the AIM-9s. Some people have reported that, I think it was on the F4EJ, you had to fire the AIM-9Js before you could start firing the Sparrows. So there's no way to switch between IR and radar, which needs to be a thing before this patch goes live. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of dumb. It already was a problem that I had a complaint with on the Mirage with the R530, where you could only fire the R530, and you couldn't fire the Magics first, even though in most situations you would want to fire the Magic first and then use the longer range missile for later on in a game, say to snipe somebody going back to their base, or hightailing it and the clouds are up in altitude. So there are Sparrows, and the Sparrows are on all of the Phantoms. Specifically, the AIM-7E Sparrow is on the F4E Phantom, the F4EJ, and I believe the British Phantoms both have AIM-7Es. Yes, both AIM-7Es. However, the one AIM-7D, aka Delta, AIM-7 Delta, is on the F4C Phantom, which, if I can find it... See, they're labeled as a white fin rather than a dark red fin to distinguish. There's a lot of different icon subtleties that are to distinguish. So you can get... for air-to-air, you lose the gun pod on the F4C, and you can carry the AIM-7Ds and the AIM-9Es. And I believe the power plant on the F4C is weaker, and hence why it cannot carry the gun pod. Ironically enough, though, you can carry bombs, which is weird. I think that's just Gaijin's doing. So, like, the first part of that logic would make sense, but then you look and then you see that there's bombs. So I don't really understand. But yeah, if you want to take a big missile lineup, which will make the F4C actually kind of fun, is to lose the gun pod and just be a missile launcher, basically. That'll make it kind of fun. But yeah, that so far is the only Phantom that has a different AIM-7. I'm glad they've gone with AIM-7 Echoes and Deltas, because if they added like the first versions, they would have been probably completely unusable, and honestly would have not really done much. Going on to the German tech tree, the Germans get a East Germany IL-28. It's literally just the first IL-28 in the Russian tree. It's not like the SH. It doesn't get rockets. It just gets bombs. Don't really know why they got this, to be honest. The F-104G does gets nothing new currently. The MiG-21 MF gets nothing new, which kind of blows, because the Russians, for their MiG-21 SMT, because it's a little bit more of an advanced version, get radar-guided R3R air-to-air missiles. I wish I could slap these on, but I can't. I don't own it, and I don't think even this amount of GE 24,000 is going to get me to this, because I spent some GE that I had. Yes, it's all my own money. I can do what I want with my money. I'm not a content creator yet. I don't get these vehicles for free. I'm doing you a service, trying to give you an opinion from someone who can't just easily get it. So, yeah. But anyways, I'm not going to get this. So, yeah. The R3Rs are working currently somewhat. They have a 10G overload according to the stat card, yet we all know, if you watch Zataris' video, you know that it's just rudimentary. It's just kind of just a generalization of the missile. So roundabout in the ballpark, a 10G tolerance, 1.7 Mach speed, and 5.59 miles. You can convert that into kilometers, whatever you want. I believe it's like 8 or 10 kilometers. I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah. I've been told that they are kind of weird. Obviously, we know that the Sparrows are broken, so I'm not expecting the R3Rs to work perfectly. They kind of work, but they're also really easy to dodge. However, if you're not paying attention, they will kill you, and they will kill you in a head-on. They seem to be the easiest working missiles. The dev server has carried over some bugs. Primarily, I've heard that the R60 is locking people from the front at like infinite ranges sometimes. It's a bug that's from the old dev server when they first added the SMT. It had the same issue. So, yeah, that's just them carrying over bugs that hopefully they don't bring into the next patch, because there's always that. Moving on to the new SU-7 BKL, which gets 2 extra hard points, some fancy little skids, and as you look at the loadouts, you get a little bit more bombs, you get way more S5Ks, a little bit more S3Ks, 2 more S24s, which is awesome, because those are honestly the only viable missile. The S3Ks can do well, but you kind of have to spam them. And you can get 2 Fab 500s and 2 OFAB 250s. Sadly, you can't get 3 Fab 500s, which would be nice on each wing. So yeah, that's how it works. And then there's obviously the normal Fab 500s without the 2 out of 50. I guess the skis were meant to distribute weight a little bit easier, so the wheels had a little bit less stress on them. No wonder Sukhoi lost to MiG a lot of the time until they came out with the Su-27. Not surprised. So, yeah. Sadly, the BKL does not carry 2 R60s, which I was hoping that it would get, because apparently the BKL was able to carry 2 R60Ms on the outer hardpoints. Now, I know R60Ms are frontal aspect locking missiles, and they have not put those, IR-wise speaking, only for infrared, they have not put front aspect locking missiles for IR on a jet plane yet. They're only still on top tier helicopters, basically. So even if they just added normal R60s, it would make the SU-7 way better, considering that this is also 10.0 and the original SU-7 is 10.0, even though one gets a little bit better loadout and should have R60s, and this one should kind of be 9.7, but it's kind of fine at 10.0. You have to use it on a fighter, but I digress. So let's see, what else? I think that's it for Russia. Yeah, not going to go into naval. Britain, like I said, their Phantoms carry AIM-70 Sparrows without the gun pod. Actually, what's nice is that the British Phantom can carry the gun pod with these. The F4C Phantom, for some reason, is still limited, and I think it's down to engine performance, because the FGR2 Phantom has British engines in it, I believe, or newer engines. Yeah, Rolls-Royce. So those are better than the F4C's engines, so that might be why. Japan, again, the F4EJ Phantom getting Sparrows. Basically just the same thing as the F4E. Although on the EJ it can carry AIM-70s, which is interesting. They've given it both. So if you look at modifications, yeah, AIM-7D, AIM-7E, which is cool. I guess I would assume that it's probably because they did use both of them. America only has the AIM-7E, which is nice because it's America's. You know, they produce this plane, they produce the missile. It'd make the most sense that they probably get the advantage in that. Let's see. China gets the Q5, the Nanchang. It's the early model, which is a MiG-19, basically Chinese-ified, and being a little bit of a discount plane and getting a different cockpit. And loadout-wise, since it is a ground attacker, it's kind of weird. Now, I don't understand what they did with the UI. I think it's because it's got the bomb bay inside, and that's why these bombs are over here. It just looks kind of weird, and to my little bit of OCD, that kind of bothers me. But that's all right. It's fine. So you get a shit ton of heat rockets, which are all right. I mean, they're heat rockets, and you're shooting at tanks from the sky. It's not like all of their chemical protection is, focused there. These also are 23 millimeter cannons too. These are not 30 millimeters like on a MiG-19. So the velocity is piss poor, apparently, according to Mike Goes Boom, because he was in my custom battle and he fired them, and they were 23s, and he said the velocity was awful. So yeah. That also looks a little bugged on the model. Why did that? Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's how it actually is in real life. I don't know. That looks kind of goofy how that gear assembly is. That's probably not meant to be that way. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So not much for ground loadout, but it is the early Q5, so expect them to add a late version at some point. I know it as the Fantan from Battlefield 4, as I know a lot of people probably would know it as. That's all China gets for air. They don't really get anything for ground either. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, they've got nothing for ground. Moving on to Italy. So Italy has the F-104S, as we all know. It gets Sparrows. Gets two AIM-70 Sparrows. Thank God they're AIM-70s and not AIM-70s. That would be kind of sad. But then again, the Italians use the Starfighter the longest out of anyone. Or I should say, into the more... They've used it into the more modern age more than any other country did. So they've got two AIM-70s and four AIM-9Bs on a loadout. And again, when I said earlier, the way you have to launch missiles, currently it goes AIM-9B on left wing, AIM-9B right wing, AIM-7, AIM-7, AIM-9, AIM-9. Again, the AIM-7s don't launch, but you would obviously see from the pattern, AIM-9, 9, 7, 7, 9, 9. So that's how it works. They also... Apparently, in the change logs, they changed the flap settings for the F-104S, so it no longer has the combat flap setting. Which really sucks, because that kind of voids my old review of the plane. And I will be revisiting it on the live server when they fix this. But not for a while, though, because this coming Friday, is my eye surgery day, so I won't be getting to it for quite a few weeks. But... it's a good change. I'm glad it has something somewhat viable. Still not getting flares. If they add an ASA variant, I should say when they add the ASA variant, because I know they will, to get an extra starfighter into Italy to kind of flush out their jet tree. That one will hopefully have flares. It'll have the whole shebang. It also does not get a ballistics computer, sadly, because I guess they just haven't really noticed I think they did notice the forum post that a person on my Discord, a squadron mate, actually did send them a couple of forum posts, and I believe they did read it, but obviously they haven't gotten around to it yet, and they probably won't for this patch. That's all right. But yeah, look at that, 2 Sparrows. I'm happy that the Starfighter is going to be somewhat viable as a high-speed interceptor. Sadly, again, by losing the combat flap setting, it loses its turn ability. That really bums me out. Moving on to France, the Mirage 3C receives the normal R530. Beforehand, we had the R530E. Now, for some reason they keep throwing these semi-active missiles, these radar missiles, before IR missiles. Like on the F-104, it's this way with the AIM-7 before the AIM-9, and for France, it's the same way with the R530. So you have the infrared guided R530, the R530E, which, as you can see, again, this might get confusing, but it is marked with like the white fins, much like the AIM-7D was, even though the AIM-7D is still a semi-active radar guided missile. But it's just kind of, it's the same thing with IR missiles, where red fins kind of distinguish that it's a more advanced missile. Same thing goes for the R530. Now this is the semi-active guided one, the one with the red fins. This is the IR one, the one with the white fins. They have different launch ranges. Oh wait, no, sorry, I was reading the aspect. They have the same launch range. Obviously, you don't need to have an aspect for a radar missile. Although currently, again, with radar missiles, they're not working perfectly. It does not like to lock things. Might be because of ground clutter and other environmental factors. I had during my live stream yesterday, I had because I will be uploading this after the dev server. I didn't make that known. But anyways, so yesterday I had the live stream and we played on my Suez Canal map that I made. I moved the airfields back to adjust for radar missiles. Obviously not knowing that Sparrows would be broke, so everyone was using R3Rs and Mirages using the R530. So it wasn't really too well, and I had the conditions as dawn, and the sun was to the right, so in the line of where planes were flying, it wasn't really in that line of fire. So the sun's effect on, reflection and off the ground and stuff, that kind of ground clutter did not affect. There were no clouds, so I don't know why, but again, just it's the dev server, and I don't expect it to be working 100%. Although you would think with the AIM-7 Sparrow it would work somewhat, but I don't know. So yeah, 15G tolerance. It's the same missile. It's just it's got a different seeker head. That's it. Explosion, I believe, is the same. Yeah, all that explosive mass stuff. It's all the same. Yeah. So the Mirage is the only thing that has that. Again, I was hoping that there would be a Jaguar in the tree, but might not be for this patch. Even I have no idea. And for Sweden, they have nothing. No Viggen, no other Draken, no radar missile. I was kind of hoping maybe the Lansen somewhere in some universe magically used them, or the Draken did, but I think the Draken has used a form of the AIM-7, but not this specific variant of the Draken. So, yeah, Sweden gets nothing. Except a float plane, of course, but it's just a float plane. It's a goofy little thing. Nothing too major. So yeah, that's about it for the dev server. When it comes to air and ground, naval-wise, I could quickly gloss over if you guys want. I mean, I know no one cares about naval. America got the Northampton, which is a more armored Portland. It's a slightly different class. Looks different too, I believe, in the front. Actually, I think it's a little more. Yeah, it's a little bit sharper. So that's Portland, and that is Northampton. Way more metallic, looks a lot cooler. I will be getting it, considering I don't need a fucking Cleveland. Helena and Brooklyn, in my opinion, are better than Cleveland, and because of how AA is so overpowered in naval already, its anti-air defensive armament and its secondaries aren't that big of a deal, considering Brooklyn has an extra full gun turret to output that kind of damage that the secondaries, would be able to make up for, but that's okay. Germany for fleet, I don't believe they got anything. I know some of their ships now carry mines, I believe. Yeah. Moored magnetic mines. Nothing new for Germany. Not like they need anything. But Russia, again, they don't really need much too. They're pretty fleshed out. They did get a Project 50, which is this weird World War II-ish, probably slightly post-war ship. Interestingly enough, it's got some 100 mils. Pretty neat. A little, I think it's a frigate. Yeah, it's a frigate. Britain and their navy did not get anything. Japan got the Chidori, which is a little, basically a really, I think it's an interwar destroyer, so they basically classified it as a gunboat. They've also got another gunboat called the Akebono, which is a post-war, probably, I don't know, like maybe like 1950s ship with two 3-inch Mark 34s. It's basically the Chinese premium better Asheville. That's what it is. It's literally a cheap, somewhat cheap for the battle rating and tier, better Asheville. So, yeah. China, I also forgot to mention this real quick. They do get an M1I, another tow, and they get the I tow and the tow too. But I forgot to mention that. That's okay. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's all they get. It's just another tow, domestically designed. It's actually Taiwanese, but you know the whole China doesn't like Taiwan yet. Fuck both of that. Okay, fuck all that noise. So, anyways, moving on to the Italian Navy real quick. The Comandante Medagli, I believe it's pronounced Medagli d'Oro. Comandante Medagli d'Oro. I don't know. Listen, I may be Italian, but I can't fucking pronounce this shit sometimes, alright? I wasn't born there. I wasn't born in the old country. This destroyer is pretty awesome, though, because it's got 135 millimeters versus the 120s, and I think I would actually like to get this after getting some of the cruisers, because they added Zara. Zara is new. 203s versus the Trento's 152s, I believe. Oh, no, Trento does have 200. I keep thinking Trento has... It's Montecuccoli that I keep thinking of. Sorry. It's from World of Warships. I'm getting shit mixed up. So, yeah, armor-wise, it's got better armor than Trento. It's Italian, and it's a light, fast cruiser. It's going to get clapped, but, you know, the Italians can dish out the damage, too, a little bit. You know, France has no navy, so, yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. That's the first dev server for update 1.101. I believe they're calling it Raining Fire? I believe. So yeah, update 1.101, Raining Fire, first dev server. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Steel Wolf, and I'll see you all next time.